When the first Like a Dragon video game was released in 2005, the main character depicted in the game was that of Kiryu Kazuma, as he later went on through details in the Yakuza games to become the main focus of a franchise that comprised of multiple canonical and non-canonical video games, as well as spin-off related media, and later earned a solid reputation in both Japan and even when the video games were translated and adapted for different languages in the United States and Europe. However, in the main series of games, there was another character who eventually became just as respected in the Like a Dragon lore and well respected due to the circumstances and events that they were depicted in: Goro Majima. Majima is actually an important character from the Yakuza franchise, who was originally as a minor character in relation to Kiryu, but as the games progressed, developers at Ryuga Gotoku added death to the related characters. Majima slowly became more and more important and eventually shifted to being just as important as Kiryu in the Yakuza games. According to information now known, Majima's development as a character hadn't become more complex, but at the same time very visible and confusing in terms of continuity-based errors, which were later acknowledged by the Ryuga Gotoku studio. As in earlier games, Majima was depicted as a madman with no compassion for anyone, but later games had complex reasons for why he acted as such and did things the way that he did. And to add further confusion to the Like a Dragon official timeline, the Kiwami remakes had Majima as a victim of circumstances who quote-unquote acted as a madman, but in truth was a mentally and physically hurt individual who had no other choice but to move on with his life after all that he had endured within the Yakuza games by acting as the mad dog of Shimano. Yakuza 0, which had one of the best written plots for any of the original Like a Dragon series, had Majima with a particular point of view, but this sharply and drastically changed by the Kiwami series, or even the original releases of the Yakuza games in the early 2000s. Ryuga Gotoku producers and screenwriters publicly confirmed false speculations of the inconsistencies in Majima's character development or even portrayal due to the writing and rewriting of the games, and only in modern games is Majima's character a more consistent concept in terms of actions, with a blended aspect from the remakes on the original games, as it's partly an official canon and recognized by players of the Yakuza games that Majima acts as the mad dog of Shimano to protect the true Majima seen in Yakuza 0 from further mental pain and loss, as depicted in Yakuza 0 on events from the Kiwami remakes up until Yakuza 6. Majima's original depiction and establishment in Yakuza 0 was so favored by critics, players of the game, and even Ryuga Gotoku staff had the Majima saga in Kiwami 2 specifically to continue the story with Makoto Makimura to give the very important part of Majima's backstory related lore an aspect of closure. The consensus now is that with all of the original details of Majima as well as the canonical mistakes on modern development for Goro Majima actually adds to the allure and respect that players of the Yakuza games have for the character. Goro Majima is so important to the franchise and lore of the games that explanations for what Majima does is presented to players in complex detail. So much detail that, in terms of a character, Majima is second only to Kiryu as the main protagonist of the original Like a Dragon game franchise as a whole. Goro Majima is a character that you should know about because he was originally a minor character that through time and development became a major character respected by all.